Yeah. Hey. Come and watch our webinar. Hello. Are we, are we launched yet? No, here we go. We're rolling. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. How are we doing? Today is Tuesday, October 27th, 1 week before the big day. Next week, the NFL trading deadline. That's what you're all thinking about, right? No, actually, the election day. So don't forget to vote. We would love to see the biggest voter turnout in the history of our nation. I think that would be great. Like, why not? Like, you're a citizen of this country. Anyways,
as long as they're real voters, that's really what we want.
Right.
We don't want all those dead people voting.
Yes. Welcome to the Barton webinar, the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar. I'm your host, Joe Barton with Barton Publishing and Barton Nutrition, and our medical advisor and medical expert, Leslie Prenz. Just kidding, Dr. Scott Saunders. But Leslie is here as well, manning the ship, and we're glad that you guys are joining us here today.
And Leslie tells me what to say.
Right. So if you are watching this recorded, then you can join us live on our next webinar, which will be every Tuesday at noon Central Time, which is right now. And you can register at bartonwebinar.com. Go there and click register, fill out the form, and you can get updated with an email and when we're going live and all that, and join us. And then you can come in and get your questions answered, because that's really the purpose for this webinar, is to give you guys value for people that have come in purchasing the diabetes solution kit and are working on reversing their type 2 diabetes. And we want to help get your questions answered so that you can experience success in that and getting healthy. So also, if you go to bartonwebinar.com, you can see on our YouTube, we have a link to our YouTube channel, which is called Barton Webinar TV, I believe, or something like that. And last week we talked about the vegan diet. We talked about breathing and all things related to type 2. A week before that, we talked about toxicity of sugar. We talked about histamine intolerance. We've talked about insulin resistance, stress reduction, talking with your doctor. So all those episodes, this is number 62 today. So a lot of great episodes that we've recorded that you can go back and watch if you have specific questions about whatever it might be, sleep or thyroid issues or vitamin D, all those things you can find on our YouTube channel. So every other week, we just like to dive into type 2 diabetes talk, just kind of the basics, the nuts and bolts. And that's what today is. And so feel free to ask your questions on the Zoom chat, Q&A, or the chat, or if you're on Facebook, you can also put your questions in the comments there. And today, Dr. Saunders, we're going to get into talking a little bit about some of the most commonly held myths that people believe about type 2. And let's start it off with the first myth, that eating 5 to 6 meals a day is good for you. What do you think of that one?
Oh, this is a very common one. It was started by a nutritionist many years ago, and they said that the idea is never to have your blood sugar get low, because it was well known, or still is well known, that low blood sugar is worse than high blood sugar. So you can have high blood sugar for literally years and have no repercussions or problems from it long term. But if you get low blood sugar, even for minutes, you're going to get headache and fatigue and weakness and dizziness. And you're going to get cravings. So you don't want your blood sugar to get low. So because of that, it just made sense that you're going to make a recommendation: keep eating, eat frequently, frequent small meals. Never let your stomach get empty, because an empty stomach, then you can get low blood sugar, because you're not putting any sugar into the system. So that's the idea behind why that myth came about. The problem is that when you do that, what you do is every time you eat, you make more insulin. So you eat again, you make more insulin. You eat again, you make more insulin. So your insulin is going up and up and up and up. And as you eat more frequently, your blood sugar can drop lower because your insulin's going higher. And then you get more and more resistant to the insulin that you have. So it's counterproductive in the long run. Sure, in the short run, you're not going to have any hypoglycemic episodes. But in the long run, it's going to cause you to have more insulin resistance. So that's making the problem worse. Remember, we talked last time about the bottom line of what blood sugar problems, well, at least type 2 diabetes. Type 2 is too much insulin, too much sugar, too much fat, too much of everything. And so if you're adding a bunch in every time, frequently, then it's counterproductive. You're going against, or you're creating more of the problem that you want to resolve. So that would not be a good idea. It's a myth. It's wrong. Don't do it.
All right. So a follow-up question is, what's the better alternative?
Okay, the better alternative is periodic fasting, which means letting more time for your stomach to be empty. The more time your stomach is empty, the more ghrelin you make, the more you repair your body, the more human growth hormone you make. And all of that repairs all of the damage that's being done. So then the question is, are you going to get low blood sugar? Well, if your insulin is high, you're resistant to insulin, then you're very likely to get low blood sugar if you have an empty stomach. But the good thing about that is they did a study on this. They used rats and they gave them insulin so that they were insulin resistant. And they gave them extra insulin. And then they brought their blood sugar down to 40, which is really low. So if you think 70 to 90 is normal, 50 is where you're going, oh, I feel horrible. And these rats were kept at 40. And they were kept at 40 for 3 days, and they're laying around going, they're not acting very rat-like. But on the 4th day, they're up running around and running on the treadmill and doing all little ratty things that rats do. And everybody's really surprised. So they check their blood sugar. It's still 40. Their blood sugar is 40, and they're running around acting like normal rats. Well, why is that? Well, they did a biopsy of the blood-brain barrier, and they found 10 times the number of glucose transport proteins to get sugar into the brain. So it took 3 days to get all of those proteins upgraded so that they could have normal functioning brain on a lower blood sugar. So if your body is used to having a blood sugar of 200 or 300 or 150 or pretty high, and you bring it down to normal, then your body is going to start going, oh man, this is not enough for me. I'm used to having a blood sugar of 200, and now this blood sugar of 100 is killing me. Give it 3 days. Yes, you're going to get low blood sugar. So the best way to do that is to just space it out a little bit at a time. So you start with 8 hours of empty stomach. And then after a few days, you're feeling okay with that, go to 10 hours. And then go to 12 hours. And when you do 12 hours a day for a little while, then you can go to 14 hours. And then you don't have to do that every day. Once you're over 12 hours, you could do like once a week. You go to 14 hours, and then 16 hours, and then 18 hours, until you have 1 meal a day. So if once a week you go for a whole day, 24 hours, where you just have like breakfast in the morning and then breakfast the next day, then you're ready. Then you have you're able to use fat for energy, and you're not required to use sugar for energy anymore. And in between that time, as you're spacing it out, yes, you're probably going to get low blood sugar, but you know what? Just like the rats, you've got to upgrade all of those glucose transport proteins, and that's what's going to keep your brain functioning, keep your kidneys functioning, keep your nervous system functioning, keep your heart functioning. So it's actually, in that sense, good to have low blood sugar. So I hate to say it, but you know what? Life is a lot of no pain, no gain. And this is one of those things.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. So I wanted to talk. You mentioned keto a little bit, and one of the other myths is like low calorie sweeteners. And so on the ketogenic diet, typically, so what that basically is super high fat, percentage of your macros. There's like 80%, 70 to 80% of your diet is fat. So you're eating lots of avocados and oils and butter and coconut oils and things like that, and meat. Um, Pretty like medium level protein, like 20, 25%, and then like 5% carbs. So very low carb. Um, so with that, a lot of people, because they love the taste of sweet, they're having a lot of stevia, they're having sucralose, different artificial sweeteners like that. So can you talk about the ketogenic diet for somebody that doesn't have type 2 versus someone that does have type 2? Like, should somebody with type 2, um, is it okay to do keto, but what about the artificial sweetener side, or even the natural, like the stevia sweetener?
That is such a good question because I get this all the time. So, everybody, listen, this is actually really important. I have people who do not have type 2 who try the ketogenic diet and they say, I wanted to lose weight. I don't have diabetes or anything. I wanted to lose weight. So I went on the ketogenic diet and I didn't lose anything. And most of the time, the problem is that just the artificial sweeteners. So there's two things that you need to know. One is protein can cause your insulin to go up. So this high protein diet, people who are like carnivores or eating a ton of protein, it's not that it's bad by itself. It's that eating a ton of it is bad. And so if you're used to eating, 2,000 to 3,000 calories a day, and you just switch over from doing a carbohydrate 2,000 to 3,000 calories to fat and protein 2,000 to 3,000 calories, it's not likely you're going to lose weight. You're still getting all those calories, and the protein induces your pancreas to make more insulin, which tells you to hold on to fat and don't burn it for energy, which makes you use all the protein for energy. So that's where a lot of people go bad with the ketogenic diet is having just large amounts and having a lot of protein. And that same idea again of having the frequent meals, of having snacks and eating in between meals and not letting your stomach get empty. If you let your stomach get empty between meals, you reset the system and it drops the insulin down again, and then you can eat and then your insulin will go up. But you need those times of the insulin that's dropped down. So that's part of it. The second part is a lot of people on ketogenic diets, they go, well, stevia has no calories. Coke Zero has no calories. All of these desserts that you can make that have no calories in them, or little calories and no carbohydrates, no sugar in them. And that's okay, right? Not necessarily. A lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people are very sensitive to the taste of sweet. And so every time they eat something sweet, they get a release of insulin. And that release of insulin tells their body, don't use fat for energy, use sugar for energy. And if you don't have any sugar, start using protein. So start burning up the muscles or the protein that you're eating, because the insulin will block that, will block your body from using fat. And if you're one of those that releases insulin, you'll just get more obese. And that's exactly what happens. In fact, when they did studies on artificial sweeteners using sodas, drinks that contain artificial sweeteners, and they compared people drinking sodas with artificial sweeteners versus people drinking with sugar. The people drinking the sugar sodas had less weight gain and were healthier than the people drinking the artificial sweeteners, even though they had no calories in the drink. Why is that? Well, because the artificial sweeteners are anywhere from 10 to 300 times more sweet than sugar. And they cause more of a release of insulin and cause more weight gain and prevent you from using fat for energy. So you can't lose weight and you gain weight more easily, and you're burning protein for energy, which is not a good thing to do. I mean, if you have to, fine, but you want to burn fat for energy. So a lot of people, if you're finding you're not getting ketogenic on your ketogenic diet, then artificial sweeteners and protein, and you're really good with it and you're not eating sugars or carbs or anything, first look for the carbs. If that's not the issue, then look to artificial sweeteners and protein, because those are the things that'll mess you up.
Okay, great. So last week we talked about the vegan diet, which is no animal products at all, including like dairy and things like that. Let me ask you on the flip side, what if someone were to eat what they call carnivore, like meat only? They just eat like a slab of roast beef every day at noon or something. What do you think of that diet, and what are the pros and cons of that?
Okay. It can be healthy. It was an interesting story. There was a famous doctor that I was at a conference with, and Joe and I went out to lunch with him. And he eats raw meat. And so he went back to the meat counter. I went to the salad bar. I got this salad and everything, nice salad with greens and everything in it. And he comes back with this slab of steak, and he peels off the plastic, takes out a knife and fork and starts cutting this raw steak and eating it. He said, "You want some?" I'm like, "No thanks, I'm good." Because you can actually get vitamin C from raw meat. When you cook the meat a lot, then you burn off, so to speak, or change the vitamin C. So a lot of people say you have to eat fruits and vegetables so you can get vitamin C, and a carnivore diet would never work. But it's true that you could get everything you need from meat. It has all the fats and proteins and carbohydrates and everything you need. But what's really interesting is not the carnivore diet as a bad thing, unless you're eating too much. So small amounts are actually okay. And especially if you have any wild kinds of meats, like if you go out and you hunt elk or deer and fish your own fish out of the stream, then you're getting really good quality meat that's going to have a lot more nutrition in it than something that you get from the store. So by itself, I don't think, in the research that I've done, I don't find anything particularly wrong with a carnivore diet. Only that people would eat too much and not be conservative enough with their fats and proteins.
Yeah, when we were together last week in Utah, we had some elk tenderloin, and man, that was good. Like, I think I could probably eat that if I had to pick one food. Man, that was good stuff. So, but where do you get elk? Like, that's not really easy to find. I don't have any elk walking around in my backyard that I've seen. So, all right. So another thing we're going to talk about is the myth about everyone that's overweight has type 2 and everyone that's skinny does not. Right? True or false?
Oh, big myth, big myth. The assumptions that people make just because I have extra fat or extra belly fat or something, that I'm automatically diabetic. It's just not true. Type 2 is a problem with insulin resistance. And I have had a lot of patients that are not overweight, and they come in and they say, "I don't get it. How could this possibly be that I have diabetes when I'm not overweight and I don't eat too much," and all of that. It's insulin resistance can come about for a variety of reasons. So, for example, we talked about artificial sweeteners. People who drink a lot of sodas, and I have had more than one case of people who drinking a 6-pack or more of diet soda a day, who have type 2, who are not overweight. They don't overeat, but they're insulin resistant because they have a sensitivity to that sweet taste, and they release all this extra insulin. But they're not eating, they're not overeating, they're not getting a lot of calories, so they don't gain weight, but they still get insulin resistance. So you can be skinny and be insulin resistant and actually have type 2, which is often hard to work with because you still have to cut out all the sweeteners and the carbs and all of that to get, and you often have to stop eating a lot of protein, so you can have a high fiber fat diet without proteins or carbohydrates in order to get that insulin resistance down so you could have normal metabolism. On the flip side, the people that are overweight, there have been plenty of people who are way overweight, 400 plus pounds, who do not have diabetes. It's not a requirement. Just because you eat a lot, just because you you store a lot of fat, doesn't mean you have the metabolic problem of this excess insulin production and insulin resistance. So you can gain weight when you don't have insulin resistance. So it's not a good way of looking at whether someone it has type 2 or not, to look at whether they're skinny or fat. It's not the case. So that's a myth. It's not real. Just because you have a majority of people in the United States, especially, who are hooked on carbs, ever since the 1970s, when they talk about high carbohydrate, complex carbs, high carb diet, low fat diet, and they're going, and everything that says low fat in the store is high carb. They add extra sugar so that it would taste good. So a lot of people are getting all of that excessive carbohydrates, and they're getting type 2, and they gain a lot of weight. So those often go together, but it's not always the case, and you can't make assumptions.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's good. All right, next question. True or false? It's better to exercise like crazy than to worry about what you eat or when you eat.
Okay, excellent. This myth is so pervasive. You wouldn't, oh man, it's like, you can't get rid of it. All of the research goes against it, and everybody still keeps repeating it. Okay, exercise does not help you lose fat. It doesn't work. Think of it this way. In order to lose 1 pound of fat, you have to run a marathon. The average person, 170 pounds-ish, 160, 170. You have to run a marathon, 26.2 miles, to burn 1 pound of fat. Okay? So how many of you are going to run a marathon to burn off 1 pound of fat? And then think of it this way. How much do you have to eat to gain back that pound? I mean, just think about it. You're going, wait a minute. There is no way I'm going to exercise off any fat. That is not going to work.
One roll of Oreo cookies would take care of that. Like,
I know. Not even that.
Right.
I've had people say, I'm eating less than I used to, and I'm still gaining weight. And gaining a pound is not hard, but getting it off by exercise is extremely hard. So the point is that if people who say, well, in fact, I actually heard this at our retreat last week, where someone said there was a birthday cake, and somebody said, oh, I'm going to have to run a little extra to burn this off. The birthday cake.
Yeah, a marathon.
Yeah, a marathon, right. So the idea that, well, I can eat a little bit extra and I'll just exercise a little more. Don't even think that. That's such a myth. And it's a terrible myth to believe too, because it'll not lead you to health.
Yeah. So again, it goes back to fasting is much more effective. Like you can fast for a day, right?
Yeah. Fasting. Yeah. In fact, people who fast, I have found in my own practice, as well as a lot of research that's been done, you lose about 1 pound a day fasting. And so, you fast for 3 days, and usually the first 3 days, they lose about 5 pounds because most of it's water. Mm-hmm. But still, that's so different from trying to run a marathon.
Yeah.
To burn off that pound.
Yeah. All right. I think we've got some good questions that have come in here, so we can start getting to those. Real quick, so Patrick, I wanted to give him he's got some great news that he shared. I was just wondering, Patrick, if you'd be up for hopping on video, if you're in a place where you'd feel comfortable hopping on video and just sharing your story quick. We'd love to hear that. So let us know in the chat, Patrick, if you're up for that. And then anyways, in the meantime, while we wait for you, Leslie, go ahead and start getting some of these questions out there.
Okay, first I'm going to read something that just came in on Facebook. This is from Margaret. I'm so excited. My doctor prescribed me metformin. I said I wasn't going to take it because my friend told me it was poison. I got the products while I was on vacation and took them this morning. I'm excited to work the program and not have pre-diabetes. So yay, we're excited for you too. So keep us posted.
Hey, speaking of metformin, so this was interesting. Sorry to sidetrack again, but the research shows that metformin is, well, there's a lot of reasons why you wouldn't want to take it, but it's like one of the leading causes of erectile dysfunction. So I don't think we had made that connection before, but we read the research. It's like, okay, well, no wonder we have a call center of people that, health coaches that talk to people, and that's like half of the men that we talk to talk about that as an issue. And it's like, yeah, it's the metformin. So, first, if you can get off metformin by using the diabetes solution kit and the phase 1 program in here, and also CinnaChroma is going to help you with that. So these two things will help. That's like goal number 1. Take care of that. Get to the point where you don't need metformin anymore, right, Dr. Saunders?
Yes, metformin blocks the energy production in your mitochondria. It blocks you from using sugar and forces your body to burn fat, which is a pretty cool thing, actually, in a way. But it's not a normal, healthy metabolism. It's an artificial metabolism. So that's why it can affect a lot of different areas of the body, including your muscles, erectile dysfunction, as you mentioned, your liver. So I agree.
Yeah. So, and then one of the things that came out of Utah is all right, our customers have been asking for a product to help with that. So, in addition to the diabetes solution kit and the CinnaChroma, we have a formula. I'm going to keep this can you see it? Here it is. This is like a mock-up. And we decided to call it, boom, Niagara ED. Would love to get your comments on that in the chat. So that's like a sneak peek. So let me know what you think. This is going to be a couple months yet till it's actually ready to go. But we decided, we came up with that name, Niagara. It's like the natural form of that other thing, but natural. And they have this big waterfall somewhere that, anyways, I just was kind of excited about that and thought I'd share. All right, back to the questions, Leslie.
All right, this one comes from Scott. This is why we love Joe, because he's exciting and he's fun and he's a little crazy, just like all of us. So it always keeps us on our toes. Okay, Scott, Dr. Saunders, I'm doing the ketogenic diet, but I'm experiencing constipation. Do you have a natural solution rather than products like X-Lax, etc.?
Oh, good question. Good question. That's not an uncommon problem. And so last week we talked about the vegan ketogenic diet, that you could get a lot of vegetables in your diet and not have that issue, because that's not an uncommon problem. I have a lot of people tell me that. And so the best way to deal with that is to add a lot of vegetables to your diet. So having small amounts of meats and fats and whatever, and adding a lot more celery and broccoli and spinach and cauliflower, and using cauliflower rice, and having a lot of raw vegetables, even raw carrots. You think, oh, carrots have a lot of sugar. But when they're raw, the sugar in carrots is gradually absorbed and it's not broken down into starch very fast. So it has a lot of fiber. And all of these things with a lot of fiber are going to help you have normal bowel movements again without having to add in laxatives. That's a very good question. Thank you. I have that a lot in my office.
Great. This is from Martin. We touched on this, but maybe you can let us know again. Had to leave early last week, but please comment on the stevia leaf extract.
Okay, so the stevia leaf extract is a no-calorie artificial sweetener that's great otherwise, but for people who have insulin resistance, you don't want to use artificial sweeteners because the evidence shows that in a majority of people who have this problem, the artificial sweeteners increase insulin. And so if your insulin is high, the insulin is the hormone that tells your body to make more fat. And don't use fat for energy. Use only sugar for energy. So then you get sugar cravings and you get fatter, and artificial sweeteners are not a good idea, even things as natural and useful as stevia.
All right. Paula is asking, what is the purpose of chromium in the CinnaChroma?
Oh, good question. Okay. So in the body, we have proteins called enzymes. And enzymes are miraculous. If you ever want to study a miracle, just look at these proteins called enzymes. They do all kinds of things. They're proteins that have a whole bunch of amino acids, like they're really long chains of amino acids with multiple branches going off, and they're folded up a certain way so that another chemical can fit inside them. And then what they do is they change configuration to break apart things or put things together, or change the way our chemistry functions. And they do so. We have to like burn sugar to get the energy out of it. Whereas these enzymes could just break it apart and they get the energy, and then they break that one and they get the energy. And it's an amazing thing. Well, guess what? The enzyme one of the enzymes that we use to break apart that sugar to get the energy requires chromium. And chromium is a very common deficiency. I test for chromium, and I would say 80% of the people who I test are deficient in chromium. It's a very common deficiency. Why? Because it's not in the soils, and the plants don't need it. They can produce really nice, beautiful looking fruit and vegetables without any chromium in them at all. So the farmers aren't going to add chromium to the soil, and there's no chromium in the soil. So we're not going to get it unless it happens to be in the soil. And since it's not in the soils, at least in the United States, that supplementing is a very good idea. And I recommend supplementing for everyone, even if you don't have diabetes. In fact, I think CinnaChroma is a good supplement for any American, because we eat every day, and we have full stomachs a lot, and we eat carbohydrates. And so I think the way CinnaChroma is formulated, you can use it as just your basic supplement, because it has all the things: selenium, chromium, vanadium, vitamin D, all the things that I recommend that everyone take, except for iodine. It doesn't have that, but we have a separate thing for iodine.
And Nervala seems to be like a sneaky good supplement. Like you formulated it for nerve pain, but like it actually helps a lot with a lot of other things. And blood sugar is something as well. I mean, it helps just to, maybe talk about that a little bit, because I don't know if everybody knows about Nervala.
Yeah, Nervala is an unusual, it's benfotiamine, something you've never heard of, but it's a type of vitamin B1 that's fat soluble. And this type of benfotiamine, this type of B1, because it's fat soluble, it can get into the cells of the lining of the blood vessels and repair the lining of the blood vessels and improve circulation. So people who have circulation problems, yeah, if you have diabetes, yeah, it works. But if you have other reasons for having circulation problem, it also works. If you have damage to your blood vessels because of high cholesterol and inflammation over long periods of time, it works for that too. So it's really good at repairing the damage to the lining of blood vessels and improving circulation. So people who have bad circulation, Nervala is also a good supplement. So yeah, Nervala is good for other things besides diabetes as well.
Here's what Nervala looks like. It's the green label. You can find it on bartonwebinar.com or bartonnutrition.com. And yeah, Nervala, like I use this every once in a while. I'll get like I don't know if it's clinically restless legs or something, but I just kind of like get a weird feeling at night and I can't sleep so well and get hot and stuff like that. I'll take a Nervala and like boom, helps with that. So yeah, there's like multiple benefits to that as well. So one other thing, if you are going to purchase any supplements, you can get a webinar discount just because you've seen this, and the coupon code to enter at checkout is webinar25. So 25% off when you purchase with that coupon code. So, all right. All right, back to you, Leslie.
Back to me. All right, I'm typing this up so people can see this. So give me 1 second.
All right.
We did get another really good question from Krish. So let me go find that here.
And Patrick said he didn't have a video camera on his laptop. So
okay,
unfortunately, he won't be able to. But he did say that he's been off metformin. Well, let me just find his original post here. So where'd it go?
In the Q&A.
Oh, it's in the Q&A. You're right. Okay. Great news to share. Doctor appointment yesterday, and my A1C is down from 10.3 last time to, drum roll, 6.2.
Wow.
6.2. That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's great work. So way to go, Patrick. And he also said he's been off metformin for 3 weeks and he's taking CinnaChroma daily. So great to hear.
So good. All right. Let me go back here. Krish. Okay, the fasting recommendation is well understood as you have explained and emphasized this issue. But the myth is that when one starts fasting for a few hours, others tell him you are tired and you have to eat well. When one feels tired and laid out a bit because of fasting, how does the rat analogy apply to humans?
Okay, I get it. Yes. So consider this in the big picture. The underlying basis of medicine is symptoms. And so if you're only going by symptoms and that's all you know, then it's all about feeling good and not feeling bad. So if you're looking at the way a medical doctor, the way we're taught in medical school is to go by the symptoms and to not look at the long term, the big picture, or the underlying cause. So resolving the immediate symptom. You have a migraine headache? Here, take a pill. That will relieve your migraine headache. Well, what happens when I get another one? Take another pill. What happens when I get another one? Take another pill. What happens when I get another? Take another pill. Is there any end to that migraine headaches? No, because all you're doing is relieving the symptom. But what if I looked and I did some research and found and did a tests on you and said, oh, you have migraine headaches because you have deficiency of magnesium and vitamin B2, and you have excessive hormone imbalance, your estrogen progesterone imbalance. And then I can give you the extra supplements, I can balance your hormones, and you'll never get another migraine headache. And do you need symptom relief? Do you need that pill to relieve the migraine? Never again. You don't need it because you don't get migraines, because that's not an issue anymore, because you've dealt with the cause, the underlying cause. Well, in diabetes, it's the same thing. When people are making those recommendations of, oh, if you feel bad, your blood sugar's getting low, you better, eat something really quickly, drink some orange juice or drink some juice, or take the little, they even have injections of glucagon and stuff, or you can take the glucose solutions. But that's very short-sighted because what it doesn't allow is it doesn't allow you to repair all of the damage that's been done by the lack of insulin, not insulin, glucose transport proteins. So the way the rat analogy applies, the rats were tested, and the point was that it took 3 days of low blood sugar for them to be able to make those proteins, the glucose transport proteins, to get the sugar into the brain. So the idea is that it's okay for you to feel that. It's okay to have low blood sugar. It's okay during your fasting, these periods of time as you're going longer and longer, that when you get low blood sugar, well, you can rest. You can. Sometimes I tell people eat a carrot or eat some almonds or something. You can eat something, but ideally, you lay down and rest. You wait till it goes away, and then you get up and start your business again, because that's when you're training. That's the training of your body to use fat for energy instead of sugar. Is that clear?
That's good.
Okay.
Okay. A couple questions have come up about that discount code. Does that apply to the entire order? And is there a quantity discount on CinnaChroma, Joe? I'll let you answer that.
So yeah, if you go to the store, we have different options. You can buy 1 bottle, 3 or 6, and 3 or 6 are discounted already in addition to that. But you can also get an additional 25% off when you enter the coupon code. So, and also if you're on our email list, we had a warehouse clearance sale of CinnaChroma where you can get 12 bottles, and I believe that was the cheapest per bottle offer that we had. So let me know if you're interested in that. I can try to find a link for you guys as well if you want 12. Then you'll be stocked for a full year if it's one of you, or if you have multiple family members that want it, then you get several months worth. So.
All right. This is from Frank. Dr. Saunders, your products are the best. I've had great results. Yes. Awesome. I'm losing weight and muscle mass even before taking the products, CinnaChroma and Nervala. I'm taking a natural green superfood protein to help me gain weight, but it's not working. What would be your suggestions?
Okay. So one of the issues with losing weight is the question of when you're burning fat, do you also burn protein? Especially people who have insulin resistance will burn protein for energy. You will, and so you talk about losing muscle mass, and that's a thing. It's actually real. That happens. So the point is, the point that I want to make is that there's a lot of research that's been done by Walter Longo. Dr. Longo is at USC at the Longevity Research Institute in geriatrics, in aging, preventing aging is what he does. And so he has shown that, yes, you do burn some protein, you do burn off some muscle, but then when you start eating again, you gain it back and more. So it's kind of like the fat thing. When people eat carbohydrates, they gain fat, and then they stop eating carbohydrates, they lose fat, and then they go back to eating carbohydrates, they gain it back plus usually about 4 pounds more. That's why people who diet, they go on diets. That's why diets don't work, because when you start eating your carbohydrate, after you've lost all the weight you want, you go back to eating your normal diet, then you gain it all back plus 4. Well, the same thing happens with protein. So it's going to happen that you're going to lose weight while you're doing that on the ketogenic diet or phase 1 and the diabetes solution kit. But when you go into phase 2, then you gain it all back and improve your function. And it works out better in the long run to do it that way.
Okay. Martin is asking, Stevia is out, so should I use regular sugar in my coffee?
I think the point was that you want to avoid the taste of sweet. The taste of sweet is going to cause the release of insulin, and insulin tells your body, hold on to fat and don't burn fat for energy. Use only carbohydrates. So then you get sugar cravings. The more sugar you eat, the more you'll crave. And then that's the vicious cycle that gets set up. So you're much better off avoiding the sugar and the stevia and any sweeteners and anything else.
Okay, good. Let's see. Along with a question about chromium, I take metoprolol.
Metoprolol.
Metoprolol. Okay. I've been told not to take the two together because the chromium enhances the effect of metoprolol. Please enlighten.
Okay. Metoprolol is a beta blocker that slows down the heart rate. Chromium doesn't directly affect metoprolol. It has an indirect effect because one of the things that chromium does is allows the body to be more efficient, and so the heart beats a little slower. And actually, I don't see why there should be, and I don't know of any specific interaction with them that you should avoid chromium with metoprolol. But there could be a concern. I can understand why somebody would say, oh, maybe this could be an effect. But I don't know of any research that actually shows any problem with taking chromium, because guess what? You need chromium. You need it. You know, your body's not going to function normally unless you have chromium. Whereas metoprolol is, it's a medication, it's a toxin, it's something that slows your heart by blocking a receptor, a beta receptor. So it's anything that blocks a receptor is toxic, and that's what it does. Whereas chromium is what's helping your body to function normally. And that's one of the things when we were talking about metformin, the difference between metformin and CinnaChroma was the metformin causes an abnormal function of your metabolism. And it happens to be a good way of abnormal functioning because it forces your body to burn fat by blocking your sugar energy. And that's great in a way, I guess, but it's still not a normal function. You're still better off with the CinnaChroma and getting normal function back of your metabolism. So that's kind of the metoprolol thing as well with the chromium. Chromium provides normal function, metoprolol does not.
All right, here's another question. I'm not sure who this is coming from, but it says, I have type 2 diabetes and I have been taking metformin once in the morning and one more in the evening. I had also been taking spironolactone.
Spironolactone?
Yep.
Yeah.
To manage water retention.
Yeah.
But was advised to eliminate this pill to assist in kidney management about 2 weeks ago. A couple of days ago, I had a swollen right foot and went to the doctor's clinic. I was prescribed medication for possible infection. Also, gout was a possible dilemma. I'm wondering whether my swollen foot is due to dehydration and other factors associated with diabetes. If so, what would be the recommended treatment?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is complex and we need a lot more information to make a recommendation. But just to sort of say that spironolactone causes worsening of insulin resistance. It's really not a good medication for people with diabetes. So yes, going off of that, I agree with that. That's a good idea. It's easy to get dehydrated on it too. And the swelling with the infection, it may not be an infection. It might be something called a Charcot joint, which is common with diabetes. And it's not really gout. It's not gout or pseudo-gout. It's a joint inflammation or swelling that's related to diabetes. And it's due to the circulation issues that you get from the diabetes. So they are related, but I don't think you have the full diagnosis yet. I think getting a diagnosis is knowing what it is and why it's there. And so if they really think it's gout, then they would have to take some fluid out of the joint and look to see if there's any crystals in it. But it could be, there's other possibilities. So it could be something else. So if you don't know what it is, then you don't know what you're treating. If it's an infection, then you need antibiotic. If it's not an infection and it's gout, then you need entirely different treatments. but yes, gout can show up with dehydration, and can show up with in diabetes with dehydration. So that could be an issue.
Okay. We're so thankful for you. Okay. Sandra said, I've had, she had problems with constipation, but when she started taking healthy gut support, she is regular now. So something to consider as well. That's another product.
I hadn't even thought of that. Of course, that the healthy gut support, if you're having problems with constipation, healthy gut support has both the enzymes to help you digest it better and the prebiotics and probiotics. So remember, I said eat a lot of fiber. That's the prebiotics. That's what you're getting in the healthy gut support, along with the probiotics, and that could often help constipation with the ketogenic diet as well. Not a bad idea. That's great.
Okay, and then let's see. Joe posted a link to the CinnaChroma 12 bottle warehouse sale. So that is both posted on Facebook. And if you look in the chat, you can see how to get those. There's a link for that. We have a comment from Krish. Let's see. 8 glasses of drinking water is a normal recommendation, but some drink water like beer, something like 12 glasses of water in one day. Is this practice harmful?
12 beers a day.
Yeah.
12 beers a day, yeah.
Yeah, it can be. Okay. So the way the kidneys function is they have a gradient. It's a salt gradient. And that's what allows the kidneys to concentrate water, or to concentrate the liquids and get the water out of your body if you have excess water. And so if you don't have that gradient, then you can't concentrate urine. So mostly what I find is people who drink that much water, they're drinking all the time, they have to get up at night 2 to 3 times to urinate. Their bladder fills up because normally the pituitary gland in your brain produces a hormone called ADH that prevents the kidneys from making extra urine during the night so you could sleep all night long and not have to urinate. However, if the kidney doesn't have a good salt gradient, then the kidney can't concentrate the urine, and in spite of your ADH, it's not going to concentrate the urine, and so you're going to have to pee all night long. So that's a good clue that you're getting a little bit water toxic. If you have too much of anything, it's toxic. Anything, water. I don't think there is anything in this world that you can absolutely not get toxic on if you get too much. So it's true, you can get toxic on water, and drinking that much water for many people is not good for your kidneys. It's not good for function, and it doesn't help you to maintain balance. What you need is balance. So sometimes drink a lot, sometimes drink none. In fact, I had recently a woman that came in that had that. She says, I have to get up 5 times a night. And I said, okay, just do one thing. Stop drinking after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. No water or anything. She goes, I can't do that. I said, just try it. The very first night she tried it, she slept all night. So it's possible. You can get toxic on water.
I think there's one thing that we can't get enough of, though, Dr. Saunders, and that is political news. I mean,
no, I'm sorry. People get toxic on that too. I know people who are toxic on that.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. I actually I disabled all of my social media accounts 10 or 11 days ago, and I'm not going to go back until like the middle of November after this whole election passes. Like, I don't need that extra drama in my life. So a quick question from Jeffrey. How do you get the diabetes solution kit, and what is the cost? So this is the diabetes solution kit, and you can find it several places. If you go to bartonwebinar.com, at the bottom of the page, we have a link to it. The download version is $19.97. You can download it to your computer, your phone, wherever you're at online, right after purchase. And if you want to get the workbook printed copy, that's an extra $20 plus shipping as well. And so, yeah, that's it. You could go to bartonwebinar.com or bartonpublishing.com. So either one of those places. Thanks for asking, because this is where all the stuff we're learning on these webinars is inside of here for the most part. Although the webinars do cover even more good stuff, which is why we do these webinars. So, all right.
All right, let's do, probably have time for one or two more questions here. Christina from Facebook says, I was just started on metformin and it makes my stomach hurt and it gives me diarrhea. Is this normal or should I stop taking it because everyone says it's bad?
It's normal and you should stop taking it. Yes, those are common side effects. Intestinal problems are very common. Remember that metformin is blocking the ability to make energy in the mitochondria. So using sugar for energy. And if that's your only energy source, then then the metformin will block that and you'll get a lot of problems from it. So it's not something you have to do. Metformin is a helper, and because it forces your body to burn fat, but that's not something that's required for you to get healthy. Doing the diabetes reversal program, if just following the book and doing that is so much better than taking any medication. So if it's bothering you, if you're having side effects, tell your doctor and say, look, I can't take this because I'm getting side effects. And then just start the program and do the reversal program.
All right. I lost my Q&A. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Do you know if the diabetic drug Farxiga is better than metformin? Why or why not?
Okay. Yeah, Farxiga. Okay. All these new diabetes medications, incretin inhibitors, and the answer is no, it's not better than metformin. Metformin is also a temporary drug. Farxiga would be a temporary drug anyway. Really, what they do is block the normal functioning of your metabolism and force your metabolism into doing certain things to go a certain way, the way you want it. It's so much better to force it by like doing fasting, for example. We talked about fasting. That forces your metabolism to go from sugar burning to fat burning. And it is such a better way because you get all the benefits from it without any of the risks or side effects. So Farxiga's okay. I don't usually recommend it. The metformin's okay on a temporary basis. But either way, the idea is that when you have normal functioning of your metabolism, you don't need them anymore, either one of them or any of them, that you just have a normal functioning metabolism. And so none of these medications ever, I can't think of anybody that would need any of these long term.
Okay, one more question. This is from Anku. Can a diabetic reversal be permanent?
Oh, well, of course it can be permanent. Once you've reversed it, it's permanent if you continue on that. But if you go back to drinking 6 cans of Coke a day and living on cereal, cold cereal, and rice and corn, then no, it's not going to be permanent. So in a sense, once you have it, you already know you're predisposed to it because, like I said, a lot of people can get fat and not have diabetes because that's not their predisposition. That's not the way their metabolism works. But if you do, then of course you can always get it back again if you try hard enough.
Yes. All right. That was a great question. So yeah, I mean, this is a great call again. Great webinar. Great questions. Got some success stories in. So yeah, great stuff. Thanks, Dr. Saunders, as always. And thanks for joining us, everybody that hopped on here. And if you want to join us for the next time live, be sure to register at bartonwebinar.com. That has links to our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, and our products and other things like that. And yeah, we're excited to be seeing your success and helping you guys. And yeah, keep doing what you know to be doing. Join us next time. If you have questions, go back and watch our previous YouTube videos so you can continue to learn and educate. I think the more you know, the better you'll be, and the strategies that you'll learn to make this easy. So this is something that we celebrate with you guys. And yeah, so actually somebody just asked if they can have a consult with Dr. Saunders. The answer is yes. And if you want to give your office number, Dr. Saunders, I think we may have put it in the chat earlier, but let's go ahead and give that out. So if people want to get a hold of you directly and basically have you become their doctor. So.
Okay, it's 805-688-7171.
Excellent. All right. And someone from your office will answer, and they can take their information and.
Yeah. They know how to get you set up.
Good. Yeah. Dr. Saunders has been my family doctor for a good 10 years at least, and it's been all virtual for the most part. So you can send them pictures of weird growths on your neck or something or whatever it might be, dislocated pinkies, all that good stuff. Appendicitis, that's happened a couple times with us. So all right, well, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks Dr. Saunders, thanks Leslie, and we will see you guys next Tuesday. God bless. See ya.